Hello, welcome to Infinite Prattle. And on today's episode, I'm going to be talking about a time when commentators were great.
Hello and welcome to Infinite Prattle! Unscripted, unedited prattle on everything. Hosted by me, Stephen. Listen, like, share, and subscribe, and enjoy the show.
Hello, welcome back to Infinite Prattle. Today's episode, as I said in the intro, is about, should I say, a time when commentary on sports, in my opinion, was peak. And I'm gonna hone out to hone out. Is that not even the right thing to say? I'm gonna find some words to talk about. To say. Oh my word above. God, this episode started well, hasn't it? Let me put my teeth in. On today's episode, I'm going to be focusing on two sports commentators from the world of darts and the world of F1 and motorsports. Now, when I say darts and motorsports, I'm hoping you already know who I'm going to mention, because they, for me, epitomise the commentary that I grew up with when I got into these sports and watching them at home with my parents, and when I was a single guy, basically, living on my own. So the first one I'm going to be talking about is Sid Waddell, and the second guy I'm going to be talking about is Murray Walker. I nearly said Bill Murray then. Before we get into that, just a little request: if you like and subscribe, that'd be ace. 2 seconds for you makes a massive difference for me. And also, while the video's going along, if you're watching on the YouTube, you can tell when someone's getting older. I think when they start putting the in front of stuff, like I'm going to the Asda, or I'm going to the. I can't think of another example, but you know what I mean. Anyway, yeah, but that makes a massive difference for the channel. And if you are listening on a podcast channel, go over to the YouTube if you want to see my face and interact a bit more. There are also some vlogs over there as well that aren't on the podcast content on apps. It's only on YouTube. Anyway, Sid Waddell. So Sid Waddell is no longer with us, unfortunately. He passed away in 2012. He was, for me, a broadcasting legendary commentator in the world of darts. I've got some information off Wikipedia, so again, if it's wrong, I apologise. Go and blame the people that contributed to Wikipedia. But he was born in 1940, passed away in 2012, and basically he was Sky's darts commentator for about 17 years. He was into rugby in his younger life, and an injury basically put him out of rugby. I think he was probably good enough to maybe potentially go into rugby as a career. By what Wikipedia kind of say, but he did a degree in modern history, which is something I wouldn't have thought about having read it. And he was in the university, Cambridge University second team. But after he got injured, he kind of basically got into darts. So the injury must have been bad enough that he maybe couldn't play rugby. And I suppose the rest is history, really. He went on to study politics and economics and such things, and then basically got into journalism and TV and local news programs, basically. So, and I think a bit of acting as well, from what I can gather. But anyway, I know him from the world of darts. You probably do too. And yeah, he was just a fantastic commentator, because he had so much, like Murray Walker, so much love for it, so much enthusiasm. I don't know, it just, when you watched the darts, when he started commentating, like, he was just energetic. He used tone of his voice very well, and he was funny as well. Some of his things he came out with were just absolutely hilarious. Some of his phrases that he came up with, like I've got a couple. I found some on a quote called brainyquote.com, and these are apparently quotes from the British entertainer Sid Waddell. So I'm going to read you some of the quotes. I mean, I always remember one that was really famous. I had the PDF darts game when I had my Xbox 360. Don't buy darts games for games console or anything. They're shite. They don't work properly. It's not anywhere like playing darts. I mean, I know playing football on a console isn't, but at least you have some sort of control method for it. It's all just kind of luck when you're playing it on a console. But he was the commentator on it, and it just made it so good. It was so good. And I remember one of the things that the game said, which he said in real life, was, "Oh, it's a bag of badgers." Now, Sid Waddell was from the northeast of England. So from Wikipedia, it says he was born in a place that me and Sarah actually really love. It says he was born in Alnwick. Now, Alnwick is a picturesque little town in Northumberland. So Sid Waddell had the kind of Northumberland accent. So anyone from the UK, it doesn't know what that sounds like. Kind of like a Biker Grove Newcastle accent, but a little bit toned down. But yeah, he was... that accent combined with some of the things he said was just superb. So a bag of badgers, I don't know where that comes from, but I used to kill myself laughing while watching the darts, really into the game, but sometimes he'd say something and he would almost verbalize what you were thinking. And I think that's what a good commentator does. A commentator should be there to enhance the experience of watching that sport or watching that thing that you're watching. John Virgo was another one. He was extremely good while you were watching the snooker. He was an expert in that game. He played the game, and there was no superfluous talk. There was no talk without necessity. And even though Sid Waddell came out with these crazy sayings, his enthusiasm and relevance in the sport was second to none, in my opinion. He was just he seemed such a nice guy as well. And I was actually quite upset when he passed away, because you associate someone with so much with one thing. And yeah, I think the darts world got a little bit dimmer that day when he passed away. And I think a lot of modern commentators, I'm not saying they're bad, but they just have a different style. They almost, I feel like they're almost trying to prove their own knowledge by making predictions. It's a very big thing in American football. Like, they try and make predictions before the game, get everyone's ideas and predictions out there before the game to see if they're right, and then they boast about it, and it gets a bit annoying. But I think a lot of commentators now, they fill time with stuff that isn't necessary. They'll chat about themselves quite a lot, I find. If they are someone that's been in the sport, they'll use personal anecdotes, but it's not for the enhancement of it. John Virgo used to do that when he was commentating on snooker, and we've just lost John Virgo, so I'm gutted about that. I've been watching Big Break on YouTube. Anyone in the UK more than likely knows what Big Break is, but for anyone outside of the UK, basically Big Break was a game show based around the game of snooker, and it sounds like it'd be terribly boring, but they got the format perfectly right. And a famous snooker player used to come on every week, or three of them basically. It was three contestants, three snooker players, and they got whittled down to there was one in the end, and they were paying for really good big prizes at the time. And it was a great show. And I was really sad because I've been watching that recently and remembering how great the show was and how great John Virgo was at commentary as well. And his style was, he would call back to his own career, but he would say it was more like drawing on knowledge of how to play the game rather than, oh, I had this bad experience once, and oh my god, oh, this is how I got over it. It's like, well, I don't really care about you. You're kind of deflecting from the reason you're talking by talking about yourself. Like, talk about the technical side and tell me why this person's doing what they're doing. And modern commentary really, really pisses me off most of the time. There's very few commentators that I like. I think that oh god, what's his name now? I've got my little iPad here, and I'm gonna have to like Google his name because it's completely gone. Wayne Mardell. He's now a commentator for Sky, and I think he does a pretty good job. Maybe ITV as well. Can't remember. But he does a pretty good job because he's kind of down to earth, very much like Sid Waddell. Sid Waddell was very much like the guy next door kind of thing, and Wayne comes across very much like that. He kind of jokes about his own career when he mentions it because he was successful, but he never won massive, huge championships or like anything super big. He kind of hovered around just under the top flight, really. I loved him. His nickname was Hawaii 501, and he used to wear big, Hawaiian shirts and stuff, which I used to all the time, to be fair. And I think I'm going to get back into that, to be honest. But he used to always wear Hawaiian shirts, and yeah, what a character. And I think that's what it needs sometimes. You need to be a character, you need to be an expert in a character to kind of not piss people off. And I think, for me, a lot of commentators really, and pundits as well, or group them all together. Commentators maybe not so much sometimes, but pundits in between the commentary of the game, like when they go out to the studio and they're talking about it. Oh my God. And it's becoming more of a thing now as well. Like during World Cups and stuff, they start the punditry like an hour before the game started. Like, why? Why are you doing that? It's very Americanized as well, to be fair. But normally before an NFL game, I will actually watch it because the punditry adds to the game. They'll be telling you facts and figures and whatnot. And it does kind of enhance. I think a lot of the UK stuff is that it also seems very forced conversation, and that's what I don't like about it. And the punditry, a lot of they seem to have the personality of a stick, some of them as well. I really detest the NFL commentary and punditry in the UK. When the Super Bowl's on, I always watch the American feed because I have the app to allow me to do that. I have DAZN, and I watch the American feed every single time. And there's quite a few UK channels now have the Super Bowl live, and some games live as well. Sky shows some games, Channel 5 shows some games, Channel 4, BBC, and they're all trying to get on the act of the NFL now. But I always watch the American streams. I never watch the British ones because 90% of the people that are talking about it are just really annoying. And they'll have sometimes old NFL stars, and they're the only ones I like because you're like, you're coming from a place of playing it, and your punditry makes sense, and you're not boring. Well, there's a guy for Sky, and oh my God, there's something about him. I'm sure he's a lovely guy. Oh, but he aggravates the hell out of me. Anyway, back to Sid. Yeah, so some of Sid's quotes, they're so funny. So I'll read a few out, but if you go on this website, Brainy Quote, or just Google, search the internet. Here's one. He's about as predictable as a wasp on speed. What the hell? That was like throwing 3 pickled onions into a thimble. Like, I don't know whether these sayings are from Northumberland or whether he sat and wrote them down or they were things he'd learned through his life. But look at that man go! It's like trying to stop a water buffalo with a pea shooter. Under the heart, under that heart of stone beats the muscle of pure flint. Like he was just hilarious. Now when you're watching it and there's a serious moment, he comes up with something like that. You can't help but laugh, and it added to the game for me. That's the greatest comeback since Lazarus. There's so many, and they're all hilarious. Yeah, so Sid Waddell, very much missed in my eyes for sports punditry and commentary. Was a huge contributor for me getting into the sport and liking the sport, to be honest. And I think I kind of phase out the commentary nowadays. I don't really listen to it. It's just got boring for me, really. And I think that goes for the same for good old Murray Walker. Again, unfortunately, not with us anymore. But he was 97 when he passed. Sid Waddell passed in 2012, as I say. He was 72 when he passed. But Murray Walker was 97, and he passed away in 2021. And again, as I was growing up, he was the voice of F1 and some other motorsports as well. He covered the F1 on the BBC for like 20 years. He was from quite a humble upbringing, as I understand, and he was born in Hall Green in Birmingham. Got into motorsports, but he also said stuff that were dubbed. I'm not sure if I said had this term for him, but Murray Walker had Murrayisms because he used to come out with stuff, and yeah, he would get so intense, which added to the drama. It'd be like Sid Waddell, like, you know, Murray Walker would be so into it. His commentary was just flawless. He could constantly talk and talk and talk and never say anything you thought was unnecessary. Like his voice, when it says on Wikipedia here, his commentary voice has been likened to a screech that resembles a 500cc engine being revved up. Which, you know what, I kind of get it, because he used to kind of go, he'd start low and go no 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 like that, and he'd kind of, and then he'd go back down low and he could be really calm, but he'd shout down the microphone, and many times I remember him commentating and apologising to whoever's in the commentary box with him for like basically yelling down their ear. But I feel that's what you want from someone. You want someone that is passionate. You want someone that has been so involved with that sport for so long, it's in their soul. Yeah, it's such a lovely thing when you find someone that can do that and adds to the experience for you. And he kind of was very much a staple growing up. I mean, there's very famous, and he used to interview the F1 drivers afterwards. I think one of the most famous things that Murray Walker did was Nigel Mansell had an off. I can't remember if it was in practice or a race, and he bumped his head quite badly and had quite a big, large, noticeable lump on his head. And Murray Walker walked up to interview him on camera, and he said, "Oh yes, I can see it right there." And he literally pokes him full in the bump, and Nigel Mansell like steps back, obviously vividly, like clearly in pain. And Murray Walker's like, "Oh, I am sorry." Like, he just misjudges his depth perception and literally poked him in this big, massive lump. But I think Nigel Mansell couldn't even be angry at him. I think it was like just Murray Walker, isn't it? Like, you know. But some of his quotes that were deemed as Murrayisms, very much like Sid Waddell, although Sid Waddell's were probably more comical. Like Murray Walker's, I remember, and I'll see if my memory serves, because I've not looked at these quotes. I literally put it in. It's the same website, Brainy Quote. My remembering of him was like weird sayings that were like sounded like they couldn't be real. Like, you know, they sounded a bit wrong, really. You know, they sounded right when you said it, and then afterwards when you thought about it, you were like, what the hell does that mean? And we used to compare it to my mum a little bit. My mum's Irish. I'm half Irish. So she used to come out with the most ridiculous sayings sometimes. And we were like, that's you, mum. So a couple of his sayings are, you can cut the tension with a cricket stump. If is a very long word in Formula One. In fact, if is F1 spelt backwards. There's nothing wrong with the car except that it's on fire. And I can imagine the Sid Waddell ones as well. I can imagine Murray Walker saying these, and it just, you know, I can't believe what's happening visually in front of my eyes. Anything happens in Grand Prix racing, and it usually does. That's a very famous one that he said. I've just read this one. The lead car is unique, except for the one behind it is identical. And they're the things that he used to say. But when you're watching it, like, it's just hilarious. But the way that flowed out of him, like, flawlessly, just added to it. And I think that's why he kind of become like almost like a national hero to the UK. And Sid Waddell, from a darting perspective, like, he was held in such high regard in that industry, in that sport, and in commentary. I mean, this other one here is kind of like proving my point. These two actually, and now excuse me while I interrupt myself. That could apply to me, and that's history. I say history because it happened in the past. Oh God! Like, what a guy! What an absolute legend! He commentated on F1 probably for like 25 years, and yeah, enhanced the experience. Like Sid Waddell, like flawless talkers, really flawless talkers. I aspire to be their level of chatty, intellectual quickness, and just constant banter. Really, I suppose that's what it is when you're a commentator. It's constant banter associated with a thing that you're watching. Both them people amazing. There's a few others that I could go to, like John Virgo, and I can't think the guy at the top off the top of my head that does the football. But I think we've lost that in sports nowadays. I think it's gone too much more of a modern way of doing things. There has to be 20 people on stage now, all having their opinions, and which I've got no problem with people having an opinion and stuff like that. But I don't know, the modern commentary just isn't the same for me. It doesn't have the same hit, doesn't have the same oomph and lightheartedness even. Everyone takes stuff too seriously. I think the only commentary that comes close to it nowadays is the British Superbike commentary, and the guys that commentate on there, they're in the sport, they're passionate about it, and they've done the sport. And I think they're the only ones, I think, in modern day, for me, from the sports that I watch, at least anyway. Let me know if you know of another sport which this is true of, but it is British Superbikes. And I think that, the commentary on that is pretty good. They take it seriously, they're impassioned, but it's also funny, and they come up with funny things to say as well. Scripted or not, I don't, it's just funny. So yeah, that's my little take on modern day commentary, and just wanted to kind of highlight the heroes and legends that are Sid Waddell and Murray Walker. We lost something great in both of them, and I don't think they managed to pass the torch to anyone, at least for as competently as they and effortlessly as they managed to commentate on their sport of choice. So I'm going to leave it there. Let me know in the comments if there's anyone else that you think that is carrying the torch in that same way in modern day sports in the present day, or anyone else from a different sport where you think they kind of have the same kind of pedestal platform that Murray Walker and Sid kind of hold and haven't been replaced. I mean, you'll never replace them, but hopefully someone might mimic them in the way that isn't annoying, and bring back that kind of flair and style for it. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you can give me a like and a subscribe, that'd be super, super good. I hate saying it, but algorithms. And just remember, look after each other, take care of yourselves, and remember, keep on prattling.
Thanks for listening to Infinite Prattle with your host Stephen. Follow me on social networks at Infinite Prattle, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks very much.